श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, in the verse 47 and 48, was explaining us about what he means by the word called Karma Yoga, or the understanding or the knowledge of Karma Yoga, which is calling as Yoga Buddhi. And we saw in the verse 47 in detail what Bhagwan meant and the initial part of the Karma Yoga, and we continued that from verse number 48. So we left at the verse number 48 in the last session. I'll read the verse first, and I'll also read the Bhashya of Bhagwan Shankaracharya before we take up in detail about this particular verse. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in his Bhashya says, Yogastha san kuru karmani kevalam ishwarartham tatra api ishwaro me tushyatu iti sangam tyaktva dhananjaya faratrishna shunyena kriyamane karmani sattva shuddhija jnana prapti lakshana siddhi tad viparyaja asiddhi tayo siddhya siddhyo api samah tulyo bhutva kuru karmani कह असौ योगो यत्रस्थ कुरु इति उक्तम idam evatat siddhya siddhyo samatvam yoga uchyate. We were seeing in the last session what Bhagwan meant by this particular verse here, and the literal meaning also I explained you, and I explained you a little bit meaning. Now today we will take it in more detail in this particular verse. So let me come back to the literal meaning of the verse, what Bhagwan wants us to do. Bhagwan says, Yogastha kuru karmani. O Arjun, hey Dhananjaya, and Bhagwan is addressing Arjuna by the name Dhananjaya. You may have won many victories. You have definitely won wealth all over the world. Doesn't matter. Arjun, you need to remember what I am telling about Karma Yoga here. Bhagwan says, hey Dhananjaya, Yogastha, having firmly placed oneself in yoga. Yoga here means Karma Yoga. Having firmly placed oneself in Karma Yoga, do your action. Karmani kuru. Do all your actions. Karmani is a Bahuvachan here, which means he is talking about not just one or two actions, he is talking about all actions. So he says, Yogastha Karmani kuru. After placing oneself firmly in Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga means the knowledge and understanding of Karma Yoga, one should do all actions. And how should his attitude be while doing the action? Sangam tyaktva. Giving up all kind of attachments or association with what Bhagwan told, ma karma phala hetubu. We should not forget the previous verse. Sangam means he is saying that leaving aside all attachments, all kind of association with the fruit of result, which he mentioned in the verse 47, or the result of the action, Karmani kuru, and how it should be firmly placing oneself in the knowledge or understanding of Karma Yoga, and having given up all kind of attachments with the fruit or result of that action. One should do all actions in the life. That is what Bhagwan is calling as Karma Yoga. And he says what it will lead you to, and you will develop while doing this. Once you have left aside the association with the fruit of action, and I already told you in that last session also, leaving aside the association or the expectation with the result, or leaving aside the attachment with the result is one thing, but just leaving aside the thing is not what Bhagwan is saying here. If you leave something, you have to attach your mind with something else also. And I told you a couple of things in the last time which I am going to repeat and take it in detail this time. But leaving aside the association and attachment with the result or fruit of action, having placed one's attachment with Bhagwan, with God, and doing all action for the happiness of God, at that time what will happen? Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. This is another thing which will happen if you have left aside the attachment, and you have left aside the attachment with the result or fruit of action, and placed your attachment with Bhagwan or God here. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. Even in the times of success or in the times of failure, how your mental attitude will be samo bhutva, maintaining equanimity of mind even at the time of success and failure. Okay? Maintaining. So, one is leaving aside the attachment with the result or fruit of action and placing oneself firmly in the knowledge of Karma Yoga. Also, ensuring that you have equanimity in the event of success or failure both. Bhagavan says, if you are able to reach this level, Arjun, hey Dhananjaya, this yoga, this karma yoga, and this level of samobhutva, samatvam is what I call as yoga, karma yoga. If you are able to reach here, Arjun, you have reached, made yourself reach this position of maintaining equanimity at the time of success and failure both. And having said that, the first half of the verse, Bhagavan says, Arjun, this samatvam, this equanimity at the level of fruit of action in the event of success or failure, I will call this as yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. This is what is called as yoga. And I explaining this verse in the last session, I said one thing, which I said in the podcast very earlier. The one question which we all need to ask ourselves is, Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. And I highlighted this portion in the last session also. We have to look within ourselves, who is the deity, who is the one who we are offering our actions towards. Who is the deity whom we are doing all the action for? Havisha Videma, who am I offering all my oblation? Oblation in the form of action. Who am I offering it in my life, in my day-to-day life? One thing we need to remember is, when we offer, we can offer at intervals also initially to start with, but at the end of the day we have to understand and look back within ourselves. Why do I even get up in the day for? Who am I working for? Who am I actually doing all my actions for? The higher your offering pedestal, the higher will be your effort, the more intense will be your effort, and higher will be the success rate of reaching in the vertical growth. I'm not talking about the result here. Please remember, result will definitely come to you. Result is not going to go anywhere. But why he is saying, Sangam Tyaktva, Arjun, I want you to not even think of result that way. I want you to just, do the action in the attitude of Karma Yoga by offering it to the altar of God. And when you disassociate yourself from the, fruits of action, Samatvam also will start to come in with you. You have to maintain that Samatvam also. One is that once you start getting disassociated with, the fruit of action, when you do not desire the fruit of action for yourself, success and failure is for who? The question will arise. If you have disassociated with the fruit of action, that is where this is Ved Bhagwan's question becomes of prima facie importance. Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. Who am I doing all my actions for? We have to all look within ourselves to understand. I get up in the day, I work in the day, I do all my acts in the day. For who? Mostly when you see this place, Kasmai Devaya, many of us in the world are doing it for our own selfish interest. Okay? And I told you, some people are doing it only for themselves. Some people are doing it for a broader understanding of their self, which is me and my family, which I already picked it up in the last discussion. Somebody is doing it for, me and my society, me and my, state, me and my country. You can grow above that. I am doing it for me and my God. And there, remember, the moment you say me and my God, I am doing it for my God. The me is also gone. Kasmai Devaya, the Devata there, the deity there, in whom I am offering all my oblations of action, is that ultimate deity, the ultimate God or Bhagwan. And we'll say Bhagwan Krishna here, that I am offering all my actions for Bhagwan, and my purpose will be about that. After every action, I should look at, is Bhagwan happy from my action or not? Is Bhagwan really, happy with what I'm doing? And, internally you will feel when God is happy with you. Even if you have a little bit purity also, you will definitely feel that happiness of God. For others, definitely, yes, it may take time for you for one to come to that level. But yes, that feeling will definitely come when God is happy. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in his Bhashyas, I told you in the last time also, he's speaking about a different pedestal itself, which I'll take towards the end when I, explain this shloka. Bhagwan says, Arjun, what is the attitude you need to develop? That, focus on your duty, and even doing the duty is for as an offering towards our Bhagwan, our God. God is at the highest pedestal, and I give you one example also in the last session, that when all the army of monkeys, they went in search of Sita ji. Now, what happened? They went as devotees. Whose purpose were they fulfilling? Whose goal were they achieving? Whose result were they actually working towards? For God. They kept in their heart only devotion to God. And the achievement or searching for Sita ji was for the fulfillment of goal of Bhagwan. For Bhagwan Ram. Right? It was not their personal goal at all. But they were all devoted to Bhagwan. They wanted to offer whatever they could in their best effort. So they all went and they achieved success. When you see the whole pedestal of Ramayana, you will see that how did, such a mighty king Ravana, Asura king Ravana, he was so mighty. It is said in Ramayana that, he has won over many kings. He was like undefeatable and, all those kind of things is said about. But then you just look back, the moment and this army of monkeys decided to offer their devotion to Bhagwan and adopt his achievement or his result in their heart, his goal in their heart, you see, even though monkeys in the physical world maybe seem, in the army of monkeys may be seeming very small in front of a mighty king called Ravana, right, who was actually a Asura king, who was the demon king that way. And so powerful, we can see many stories around it. But just because his army of monkeys, all of them kept Bhagwan at their heart, at the devotion towards God in their heart, you see their power also multiplied. And they could go and search Sita ji and also come back and tell Bhagwan Ram about where Sita ji is. They could contribute to Bhagwan Ram's army. Now remember, when Bhagwan Ram left Ayodhya, he left the whole thing, including the army also. He didn't, while in the forest, he didn't say that, now I have to search for Sita ji. So let monkeys search, that this army of monkeys search for me. Once the search is over, I will call the army from Ayodhya. Of course, if Bhagwan would have called, Bharat ji would have been happy to send the army. That's not the point, but Bhagwan never did that. He said, whatever I have here, you are my army now. You guys come forward and we will go and win Sita ji. And just see, in front of Ravana, the power of monkeys may seem very small, but their power multiplied. They went and defeated the army of Ravana, such a strong and mighty army. They defeated, they killed everyone, and they gave the kingdom to Vibhishan, and they all became victorious. Whose purpose were they doing? It was not their selfish objective. They didn't see that, Bhagwan, once we search for Sita ji, what is the result we'll get? What is the, promotion we'll get? What is the fruit we are going to get? What is the award we are going to get? What is the kind of recognition you are going to give us? Are we going to get promoted? They never asked that question. When you do as a service for God, that thing with devotion in your heart will automatically set your path correctly. And I told you several examples of Swayam Prabha meeting them, they going and meeting Sampati there, who guided them, who placed them there. It's the power of that devotion towards God which paved way for all the obstacles to be covered which comes on the way. When I told you in the last session, when they reached that place where Swayam Prabha was waiting, they said, I'm waiting for you. Who appointed you there? Bhagwan has already taken care of his devotees. Remember, the Bhagwan, God, is seated within the heart of everyone. He is all pervading in this creation. And I've already mentioned that in the verses, from 11 onwards when I spoke about that. I've already mentioned that. Yena sarvamidam tatam. Bhagwan is all pervasive. He is present at every nook and corner in this creation. There is no place in this creation where he is not there. When you start getting devoted to him, when you start developing love for God, when you keep a desire of wanting to be useful to God, you want to contribute something to God. Such a big creation, I am a very small being. How my things have been taken care by God right from my birth, right from the time I was in the womb. I also want to do, I may be very small, but I want to do whatever I can do for God, whatever I can contribute towards Him. That feeling itself will give you that power, and then this whole creation belongs to Bhagwan. Definitely, yes, obstacles will be removed. He will send you the help also. He will send you the kind of way also. One thing which comes towards the end of Vishnu Sahasranam Stotram is, Bhagwan is what? Sarva Praharana Yudha. He is all pervading, everything belongs to Him. Every equipment belongs to Him. Every person belongs to Him. He is seated in the heart of everyone. Now just think of one more thing which I keep thinking, that Vibhishan was the brother of Ravana. But remember, he has some goodness in him. Why? Because he went and advised Ravan many times that what you're doing is not right. I see that this will destroy the whole kingdom. I request you that please give back Sita ji. I am very sure Bhagwan Ram will forgive you. He said that many times. But and Ravan got agitated at his brother itself, and he said, get out from here. He said, rather than dying in the hand of this sinner, it is better that I die in the war fighting for Bhagwan, on whose side the entire dharma is. So he went away. There are many people who can say many different things. That's their own understanding. But remember one thing, he did not do anything wrong. He used his choice well. If adharma is on one side, and the fight or the war, it's going to be between dharma and adharma, nobody has forced you to choose adharma. The same question comes, somebody asked me also about Bhishma Pitama. If you see prima facie in Mahabharata, it seems that what did Bhishma Pitama do wrong? He took a vow that he will be with the person who runs the kingdom, who's the king of the kingdom, and he will always be doing or spending his life for that. But remember, that's his personal vow. It's his personal prerogative. Nobody has forced him to take that vow. And if it's a personal vow and somebody sees that there is heavily adharma on one side and dharma is on the other side, who stops you from choosing the other side? Now see, in the same Mahabharata example, one more example I should pick up for us to know. Vidur went to Dhritarashtra and told that I am sorry to say you are really going to be one person responsible for destroying this kingdom. He is your son. It is your objective. You should make him understand. But you can't put the whole kingdom at stake. You can't put everyone's life at stake. When Dhritarashtra did not heed, and Duryodhana itself said, don't force me, get out from here. What did Vidur do? He didn't participate in the Mahabharata at all. He went for Tirth Yatra. He went and went for a spiritual travel. He went to Haridwar and other places. He went for Tirth Yatra. He said, I don't want to be part of this. He used his choice well. That is what Bhagwan is saying from the 47th verse also. Karmani eva adhikaraste. You have right over your action. Nobody forces you to do an action. You have the right way to choose your action. So in Bhishma Pitama's case, case to case, there are things which may differ, but those are like case to case discussion. I can't bring a general thing here. There are many things which you can and come up with, which I can answer them also. But the thing is, here I'm giving you the example of Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama also could have done, of course, then his name became popular, that Bhishma Pratigya and all. But it is personal vow. It's not an official vow. It's not somebody who forced him to take a vow. It's not that when he knew that adharma is on one side and dharma is on the other side, okay, even if he also was a worshipper of Bhagwan Krishna, by the way, and he knew it very well that he's going to lose life in this war. He was very sure that this war they are not going to win. They all were very sure, even Dronacharya was very sure. But because of their own personal reasons, they could not go on the other side. That's a different thing altogether. But at the end of the day, Vidur used that choice well. He didn't participate with Duryodhan. Now, nobody can blame him. He did not participate, go on the other side also. But his way of not participating in this war of adharma is a way to say that he was supporting dharma. Isn't it? Every time you don't have to go on the other side. Sometimes if we just stop our action, also that's a way of participation. We may not be having so much of ability, we may not have having so much of authority to say that, I will go and join the other side. Everyone is not as, free and strong as Vibhishan is, that he could go across the other side. But at the end of the day, even Vibhishan was not wrong, even Vidur was not wrong. Vidurji was not wrong. So that's what Bhagavan is saying. You just think, Kasmai Devaya, who is the deity who you are offering all your actions to? At the end of the day, that's what which makes a difference. The moment we develop a service attitude towards God and we become a humble servant at the lotus feet of God, at the lotus feet of Bhagavan, trust me, ability will automatically come. Our eye will also not be on ability also. We will not do things to just generate ability. We are not even working towards that. Our focus is only on service to God with whatever capability I have, with whatever ability I have, whatever I can do, I will offer to God. One example I'll give you, which is also a very good example to give. And, one house, there was some tension, financial tension which was going on. And the kid was very small. Father was discussing with, the husband was discussing with his wife, if that, we have a financial trouble now. I do not know how to manage finance and all those things. Let me see how I'll manage this particular month. This small kid heard this. So he had this something called a small gullak, where he, collects the coins and other things, whatever he gets from father and whoever gives him and all those things he collects there. So he goes to his room, brings that small gullak, that small box of money where he has kept the collected money, and he gives it to father that, I am very small, but I really want to help because I love you. Can I offer this to you? Now just think how that father will feel for that kid. What is the kind of feeling that father will get? Just think, just take that same example and think, we have a God who is the creator of this whole creation, such a big, vast, elaborate creation with so much of peculiarities, with so much of distinctive things are being run by him, how powerful that creator will be. And just think how small we are. If we just try to do something for God. Now just think for a moment how happy God will be for us. At least this person, rather than getting stuck in the world, amongst the worldly objects and worldly things, he is at least looking up to me. He wants to achieve me. He desires for me. Bhagavan is going to come about that word in the coming verses also. So, when we adopt this attitude of a devotee in our heart, trust me, things do open up, and they start opening up in a very good way for us. So, this example can be done for a guru and shishya also. When guru has this thing that gives a lot of love for shishya and all, and the shishya or a disciple or a student develops the devotion for guru, then the purpose and thing becomes what? Only service to guru. And trust me, what service can do, many other things can't do. I told you in the last session also, we need to understand one thing: everything can't be bought by money. Many things come with service attitude would also. Serving attitude would come does takes us a very long way into the whole thing in this particular creation. Now, when we talk about this, the only purpose behind that action is actually, serving Bhagwan. I will give you one more example. Just let's take the example of a student. Now, for example, a student goes to study in college and university or anywhere. What will be there are different kind of purposes for which a student can study. Now, one purpose will be that I want to do for myself and my family. I want to take care of my family. Once I, get back and stand on my legs, stand on my feet and become established, my purpose of studying is to take care of me and my family. Okay, let me take this way. Okay. That is one side of a student studying in the university or anywhere. There is another side also which we can think of. The student thinks that, I am studying in this university, and at the back end, this country has contributed for this university. Why have the country contributed to the university? Because the country wants that our population should be full of people who are well educated. And those educated people should also come up to serve the nation. So, my purpose of studying in this university will be what? I'll become capable with this education so that I can, and when I come to job, when I come to serve, I can serve this country. I should become the part of that educated population which country wanted, because of which country invested in the universities. If such a person comes and goes to serve the country after his education, don't you think his yoga and kshema, means his whatever he wants to achieve in life, which I've already explained in the 45th verse also, yoga kshema in detail, praptasya apraptasya prapti yoga, that which is not there with me and I want to achieve, a desire to achieve, that's called yoga. Kshema means praptasya rakshanam, whatever I have already achieved or already got, protecting that. Don't you think such a student who comes with that attitude and serves the nation will automatically, as part of Karma Yoga, take care of his yoga and kshema? And don't you think his action or his study will also become a Karma Yoga? Bhagwan says, Arjun, this is the wealth which this is what I consider as wealth. All other will come and go, but this is the actual wealth according to me. If one can accumulate this kind of a wealth in his lifetime, then remember, that is what I will call an achievement, a contribution, a vertical growth of that person. Now, one more thing I brought up in the last session, which I am bringing it now. Let's dissect this as thing Sangam Tyaktva, which Bhagwan used there. When we set into action, it can't be that we don't even see the goal and get into the action. Now, the question which will come is, without the goal, which action? How will you decide the path of action when you don't even know the goal of action, the result of action? So, I split that into two parts in the last session, which I am explaining it today. The association with the result or the goal happens at two levels. Okay? The first level is at the level of mind at the level of intellect and memory. Chitta we call it. Now what happens is, intellect is the one which, intellect and memory together are the one which has to come up deciding the path of action. And the path of action will depend on what? The goal, the result of action. So there has to be an association of the intellect and memory with the result, so that you can set out on the action framework, on the path of action. Without the association of the intellect and memory with the result, action cannot be defined. You cannot set out on an action. You cannot define the path of an action also. So it is definitely important for the intellect and memory to see the result first, associate itself with the result, and what needs to be achieved so that it can plan out the action. That's the first level of attachment or the first level of association. I'll not use the word attachment, let me use the word association. Sangam means association also. Sangam means attachment also. Anyway, let's take the word association here. So the first level of association will be the intellect and memory needs to associate with the result, picturize the result so that it can define or describe the path of action to be set out so that it can set itself into the action. That's the first level of association we speak about. The second level of association which happens with the result is with me, which is with ego. Okay, so our Antakarana Chatushtaya is 4 parts. Antakarana Chatushtaya. Chatushtaya means 4. And they are divided into sets of 2, which I have also mentioned earlier. The first Antakarana Chatushtaya, the first 2 things are intellect and memory, which I just spoke about. The second 2 things which are part of Antakarana Chatushtaya are mind and ego. They both go together. Okay, Bhagavan says here that when you mean what you mean by association, the association with intellect and memory of the result, the association of the result with the intellect and memory is definitely important for you to plan out the action, for you to set out on a field of action. Otherwise, you won't be able to decide the action. But what he wants you to tyaktva, sangam tyaktva, is that you must work towards disassociating yourself. Disassociating yourself means disassociating your mind and ego with the result. Attachment of mind with the result has to go. But the association of the result with the intellect and memory has to be there to plan out the action. What needs to be cut out is the association of result with the ego and mind. That is where Bhagavan says Sangam. Now, one more thing I'll tell you. In normal parlance also, the association word is a word of mind. Association happens in mind, by the way. Sangam happens there only. Never mind. So I'll come to that point. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, what I want you to do is that when you start associating, your association or the association of mind and ego should be with whom? Should be with Bhagavan. Attach the ego and mind with God, and for the purpose of setting out into the motion of action, associate your mind or show the result to the mind and memory so that they can plan out the action. But your association should be with whom? Should be with God only. The association of me should be with God, whereas the association of intellect and memory is definitely important for somebody to set out into the action. So Bhagavan says, this association of you have to attach it with Bhagavan. And what is that? How do you define that association? That God is mine and I belong to God. In very, very simple manner. All my actions are for God, for the benefit of this whole creation. When we call this creation, there is another word which we call Virat. Virat means this whole total creation. All my actions are only for a creation, for the benefit of this whole creation. I belong to God and God is mine. This is called mamata in our word. So the mamata should be with who? Mamata is not the name of a person here. Mamata means minus. Minus means mineness. Mamata means mine. So this mamata should be associated with who? God. My mamata should be with God. Whereas my intellect and memory need to be associated for a period of time with the result so that it can set out the action. So this is how this whole process has to be divided. So the whole purpose of my action should be that it should benefit the creation. That is when this karma yoga, understanding of karma yoga will become suitable for living. Will become that livable for us. And in this verse, as otherwise, if you read this verse, you should not think that this verse is becoming something Bhagavan is talking which is non-practical. How will you make it practical otherwise? To make it practical, you have to understand in this way. The result has to be shown to the intellect and memory for it to define the course of action to set out to achieve that result. But the moment the course is defined, your association should become with God. Your association should become with the total purpose of creation. It is only a contribution of you towards the whole creation of God. That's why Bhagavan says, now you understand this verse now? Yogastha. Firmly placing yourself in yoga. Sangam tyaktva. Giving up the association with the fruit of result. Association means what I just said. Your association with the result has to be given up. Not showing the result to the intellect and memory. Sangam tyaktva, it's translated to you. Your association with the result should not be there. And with that attitude, karmani kuru, do all your actions. This is what Bhagavan is defining as karma yoga. And what will happen? What will be the benefit of doing in this way? When you establish this kind of an understanding at the time of action. Remember, this knowledge has to be set at the time of action. If you set this knowledge correctly at the time of action, which is why Bhagavan says yogastha, at the time of action, karmani kuru, at the time of doing action, if you are able to establish this understanding, if you are able to keep this understanding deep in your mind, deep in your heart, if you are able to live in this understanding, then what will happen? When the fruit comes, at the level of fruit. Remember, one thing I want to just highlight here. Why Bhagavan in the previous verse also says, he said in the previous verse also, Ma karma phala hetuhu bhu. Don't become too much attached to the result at all. Means, this is the attachment which Bhagavan is talking about. Don't you get attached to the result. You show the result to the intellect and memory for it to set out the path of action to do, but you yourself should not get attached. That's what Bhagavan meant by Ma karma phala hetubu. You should not get attached too much with the fruit of action at all. Bhagavan says, Arjun, the moment you do this, now let's understand. I told you, if at the time of doing action you are able to set this understanding well, when the result comes, it will be easy for you to follow. But if you think that at the time of doing action, I will not do it, at the time of getting the fruit, it won't be possible for you. Don't think that, I will not set out this understanding while doing the action, but when the fruit come, by God, I will be able to become equanimous. No, it won't be there. I would say that, okay, some people are very hard working and all those things. For them, don't say that it is impossible or anything. But I would say it will be very difficult when the fruit comes. If you want to maintain your equanimity, that's not going to be possible easily. It's going to be very, very difficult for you. But if you set it out correctly at the time of doing the action, please remember, definitely at the time of when the fruit comes, you will be able to maintain that equanimity. So you have to set it correctly at the time of action first. Now what happens when the fruit comes? Now let me just pick up the next first portion of the next half. Siddhya siddhyo. Now siddhi and asiddhi, I told you the common parlance way of understanding siddhi and asiddhi is, here it means siddhya asiddhyo samobhutva. The common parlance way of understanding siddhi and asiddhi is, siddhi means success, asiddhi means failure. Now what happens if you are able to set it up correctly at the time of action? You are able to leave aside the result, sangam tyaktva. You are able to leave your association with the result. You are able to maintain equanimity with the result at that particular point in time. You are able to leave that association. when the result comes, at that time, mind will not be anxious. Now just think, if you have not established karma yoga, or maintained, placed yourself in the understanding of karma yoga, whatever hard work you do, that's on one side. But in spite of hard work, anxiety will always be there. Oh, will I succeed? If I succeed also, how much success will be there? Will I be able to stand out? Just think, is this anxiety not going to overtake your mind? Is this anxiety not going to be there at that particular time? So this person's mind will always be anxious if he has not set out correctly at the time of doing action. If this person is not placed in the knowledge or understanding of karma yoga, if he has not disassociated himself from the result, this time when the result comes, it won't be easy or possible for him. When a person sets out with an action, with a particular goal in mind, when that particular, whatever goal he kept in mind, I'm explaining you Siddhi and Asiddhi in a different way also. So, when a person sets out with a particular goal in mind, he sets out into action with a particular goal in mind, when whatever goal he set is achieved, that is what is called, he considers that as Siddhi. He considers that as achievement. He means the person considers. Don't think he or she am making a difference here. The person considers that as an achievement. But when he or she keeps a goal in mind, the person keeps a particular goal in mind, but at the time of result, there can be two more possibilities which can come. Either what he set out as a result, what he set out as a goal, that result is not achieved, and the second part to that will be, that goal is not achieved which was set out, some other goal is achieved. Don't you see that some actions we set out with something, but sometimes the result comes something very different itself. Both those stages will actually be called by the name Asiddhi. What he or she wanted as a result, that result is not come, that's one side, whereas instead of that result, some other result came, which was not his goal also. There could be possible, there are many examples I can give, but I'm not taking time here to explain that in this much of detail. So that will be called as Asiddhi for him. So this is how a person understands that when the result, when whatever result he set out, if it is not achieved, now I gave you these two examples already. If that result is not achieved, that person will become anxious. Now when a person does action and doesn't want that result, he doesn't need that result, or he disassociated himself from that result, then he sets that this result, let it go to Bhagwan, let it go to God. Means this result is for God. When a person sets out that way, when Siddhi and Asiddhi comes, remember, the success comes, that also belongs to Bhagwan. The failure comes, that also belongs to Bhagwan. Since both of them belongs to Bhagwan, just think, will he not be equanimous? He will, through those actions, look what? I understand, I tried my best, but remember, it's not that somebody has done a mediocre job here. I tried my best, but God, I couldn't control the result. Sorry if I've done some mistake, but I'll do better next time. But inside, this person will feel that even though success did not come, even though I didn't achieve that result which I set out for, did not achieve, but I don't feel dejected. I don't feel worried. I don't feel distressed. I don't feel anxious anymore. At this time, a devotee, if that person is devotee, he will remain equanimous even at the time of success or failure. Why? Because in his mind, he did that action for God. Whatever result came, he did with the intention to do for God. Not that he was keeping the intent, he was doing, showing it to be doing for God, but actually intention for him. If he was doing it for God, whatever result comes, he will accept it as prasad of Bhagwan. He'll accept as a gift of Bhagwan. He'll accept as given by Bhagwan. Bhagwan has given. So what if it's success or failure? I'm sure, or he has some other thing in store for me. I'm sure he wants something else to be done. Probably he wanted this only. Because the work belongs to Bhagwan. And my association with who? I belong to Bhagwan. My association is not with the fruit. Fruit doesn't belong to me. Bhagwan belongs to me. Fruit belongs to Bhagwan. Bhagwan belongs to me. The God belongs to me. By just such a person, by merely doing the action itself, that person will get a lot of happiness within his heart. Why? Because Bhagwan is going to be happy with him. I gave you just that example of the child bringing the gullak to the father, that this is the money I have collected, father, whatever it could help you, I would want to contribute. Remember, at the level of a devotee, for a devotee, the definition of success and failure is completely different. A karma yogi, he doesn't consider object, result, which is fruit of action, or a situation or an event as a success measure. Whereas in the mind of world, in the heart of the normal people in the world, what is success definition? Achievement of objects, achievement of a result, or achievement of a situation or event. That becomes a success indicator for the world. Whereas for a devotee, they are not success indicator at all. Success indicator for a devotee is, after this action, am I able to associate myself with God? Have I moved little bit more closer to God? Have my association with God become stronger than before? That is what is an achievement of a devotee. Now, there is one story which Pujya Swami Subodhananji used to say before. There was a group of devotees who set out on a yatra, on a travel from Haridwar to Rameshwar. And they were carrying Ganga Jal, water of Mother Ganges. They were carrying that water, and their goal was to take that water to Rameshwaram, which is at the south end of India. Go to Rameshwaram and offer this Ganga Jal on the Shivling over there in Rameshwaram. So there was a group of devotees which are set out for that. The moment they started walking, after few minutes into the entire walk, they were walking down from Haridwar to Rameshwar. It's a very olden time story. So Bhagwan Shiva decided to test them. So what Bhagwan Shiva did, Bhagwan Shiva became a cow which is very thirsty and dying of thirst, lying down there. Now this group of devotees was going, they saw this cow lying down there. So all of them thought, remember what is the goal there? Goal is to carry that Ganga Jal up to Rameshwaram and offer the Ganga Jal at Rameshwaram Shivling. So they started to set out on that journey. So, there was no other water with them except the Ganga Jal. So devotees thought, our goal is actually to offer this water at the Shivling there. So we can't do anything about it. One devotee thought that, I don't know what to do. I can't see this cow like this. I understand that this water needs to be offered at the Shivling in Rameshwaram, but I can't leave this cow dying also. So let me just think this way, that rather than offering at the Shivling there, let me just help this cow with this particular water. So that devotee gave that water to that cow, and the moment the cow drank the water, it became perfectly all right. Now remember, in the eyes of the other people who were traveling with him, I'm not purposely using the word devotee there, the other people who were traveling with him, he failed. What he set out for, he could not complete, right? He set out from Haridwar, filling Ganga water, the water of Ganges, to offer it to the Shivling in Rameshwaram. But what? He just gave away that water. But then, the moment the cow became okay, Bhagwan gave darshan to him. And then he felt so much fulfilled. He said, doesn't matter, before even Bhagwan gave darshan, he said, doesn't matter. At least I feel fulfilled in my heart. Why? Because I didn't leave this cow dying. I may not be able to offer that water at the Shivling there, but I could give it to him. Now just think for a moment. Bhagwan Shiva only came to test the devotees there, and he offered that water to Bhagwan Shiva to drink. Why? That is how he gave that water to the cow, no? And the cow became okay. Whose journey became fulfilled? Who is actually a devotee here? So, these kind of stories come. Why? So, for us to understand, for what is the samatvam for this devotee? For him, samatvam is what? Doesn't matter, I have not been able to reach Rameshwaram, but at least with the water I was carrying, I could give it to a jeev here, no? I could give it to a animal here who was dying of thirst, and that animal is okay now. At least I could save somebody's life. That is my offering to Rameshwaram. We thought of Bhagwan Rameshwaram gave that. Bhagwan Shiva came and blessed this devotee. That's how the katha goes. So, if you really look at this way, at the worldly level, anybody can think anyway, but this is the actual truth of a devotee. In devotee's life, a devotee is always successful. Let me say this way very loud and clear from here. For a devotee, actually, if the person has become a real devotee, trust me, failure is never a word for that devotee. Because his purpose is to reach there, somewhere else. His purpose is to reach, associate that person with God, and with every step that is happening. That is his success indicator. In the worldly parlance, that may not be the success indicator. Worldly parlance, what do you call that now? Gadi, bangla, makan, whatever you call it. That can be, I am successful. Why? How? If my span of object increases. I am successful when my span of wealth increases. I am successful when I am able to build situations around me of luxury and comfort. That may be a worldly definition, but for a devotee, that's not the success indicator at all. With devotee, the success indicator is, am I more closer to God than before? Doesn't matter how much I have moved, at least have I moved an inch or not? Or have I gone below that level what I was? Every movement for a devotee is actually a success only. That's why I would say a devotee never fails. In spiritual life, these kind of worldly achievements do not make any difference. They have no importance at all. Once this karma yoga, understanding of karma yoga is established, I want to highlight this here now, what I'm trying to say. Once the understanding or knowledge of karma yoga is established, a king and a pauper, and a king and a pauper both can be same at the level of achievement. That is the beauty of spirituality. How? I'll explain it to you now. If a king serves his nation or serves his kingdom, serves his people, with the intent that I am actually serving God. That king is doing a karma yoga, right? Now I'll take another example. There is a cobbler. A cobbler is actually making shoe. Okay? And he is making shoe, but in his mind also, in his intellect also, the purpose he is making shoe is only for the happiness of God. Now remember, at the level of action, they are completely different from each other. One is higher, one is lower. The span is completely different in totality. But at the level of Karma Yoga's achievement, both can have the same achievement. That's the beauty of spirituality. That is the reason I said, in the spiritual world, these worldly achievements, these worldly success indicators, they have no importance at all. They lose their importance. When a person is able to establish that person in the knowledge of Karma Yoga, doesn't matter what action that person is doing. As far as that person is doing Karma Yoga, irrespective of higher or lower action, the result is exactly the same. What are they both getting? The king is also getting love and blessing of God, and the cobbler is also getting the same, because both of them are doing the thing for the purpose of God. Now, for this kind of a spiritual achievement, remember one thing: the externally looking success and failure, they may not be the same. Right? For a king, success indicator is different. For a cobbler, success indicator is different. At external level, their success indicators are very different from each other. But at the spiritual level, their achievement and result is same, exactly the same. That is the kind of spiritual importance I'm talking about. At this level of spiritual, I told you one thing in one of my podcasts before also. Remember one thing very clearly. At a worldly level, no two people can be the same. That is why, even if there is this Forbes list of rich people, somebody will be 1, somebody will be 2, somebody will be 3. They will be in an order of their level, right? They won't be same. And then they say that so and so person, and in the Forbes list of rich people, fell down from number 5 to number 15. Those things will keep happening. At worldly level, these things will keep happening. At worldly level, remember one thing: no two people can be at the same level of achievement. Even if just think of this way: so many students study from an engineering college, so many students study from an MBA college, MBA institute, and maybe that institute is very good, but everybody passing out of that institute, are they same in their achievement? No, that's not possible. In one country, there can be only one president, there can be only one prime minister. Everybody thinks that I'm capable of that. Everybody can't become there, right? There can be only one. At worldly level of achievement, remember one thing: it is not possible that two people are at the same level of achievement. But at spiritual level, that's the beauty. Irrespective of which position you are in, irrespective of which family you are in, irrespective of which caste you are in, irrespective of which situation you are in, irrespective of what is your educational background, irrespective of what age you are in, all these things does not matter at the level of spiritual achievement. Irrespective of all these things, you can be the same level as any other spiritual achiever. That's the beauty of spirituality. I wanted to bring out from this particular verse also. That is the reason Bhagavan says, Hey Dhananjaya. Remember, he is addressing Arjuna as Dhananjaya here. Hey Dhananjaya, why is it? I told you, Bhagavan has this beauty of addressing also correctly at these slokas. Hey Dhananjaya, you may have one external wealth to get this name called Dhananjaya, but in my eyes, one who has achieved this is actual wealthy person. That's what Bhagavan says. That is the reason. And Bhagavan says very clearly, what is the achievement? While living as a jiva with doership, if you are able to achieve this, I will call such person yogi. That, according to Bhagavan, is a yogi. In 18th chapter, 26th verse, Bhagavan says, Mukta sangona hamvadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. Bhagavan says in the 26th verse in the 18th chapter, Mukta sangona hamvadi. Bhagavan defines a satvik karta. Who is a satvik doer according to Bhagavan? Mukta sangaha. You see what Bhagavan said here? Sangam tyaktva. See, when we see the verses of Bhagavad Gita, we need to attach these verses and see them in continuation. What Bhagavan is mentioning here, Sangam tyaktva, and then Bhagavan says, karma phala hetu bhu. Whatever Bhagavan is using in those words, Bhagavan is mentioning the same thing in the 18th chapter also, Mukta Sangha. This Sangam Tyaktva Bhagavan is using there as Mukta Sangha. Bhagavan says, Arjun, I will call such a person as a sattvic doer who is free from association or attachment with the result. Anahamvadi, Mukta Sango Anahamvadi, Dhrityutsaha Samanvitaha, Siddhya Siddhyor Nirvikaraha, Karta Satvika Uchyate. This is the verse of 18th chapter, 26th verse. Bhagavan says, Anahamvadi. Anahamvadi means who doesn't do aham. Oh, I am the doer. I am the doer. Me, I did this, I did that. Anahamvadi. The one who doesn't even think that I am the doer. Who has given up the doership, whose doership has left that person. I did this, that thought process is not there in such a person. And Anahamvadi, Dhrityutsaha Samanvita. And how is he? While doing the action, full of dhriti, fortitude, utsaha, lot of happiness while doing the action. He's so motivated to do the action. He's full of utsaha. He's very, forthcoming to do the action. Full of fortitude and full of happiness while doing the action. Full of utsaha while doing the action. And then again Bhagavan uses there the same word. Here Bhagavan uses Siddhya Siddhyo Samobhutva. There Bhagavan uses the word Siddhya Siddhyor Nirvikaraha. He is no kind of thought, no kind of vikar comes in him. He becomes nirvikar at the time of siddhi and asiddhi both. Means that he is not anxious, he is not agitated, he is not distressed, he is not attached to those thoughts also. Siddhi asiddhi at the time of success or failure, samobhutva, there he used the word nirvikara. Samobhuta means equanimous. There also nirvikara means that no new thought comes into him. Neither he is stressed, neither he is too happy, he is celebrative and all those things. Neither he is too sad when failure comes. Siddhi siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. Such a doer I will call a satvik karta. Now I told you, let's go into Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya. Now remember one thing, before even I get you there, I want to tell you again the same thing, that this is a masterpiece commentary of Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji. Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's whole commentary is a masterpiece. But this one is, I told you, it's a few level up in terms of what we can think of also. Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji says here, Yogasthassan Kuru Karmani. Place yourself, I'll read that line and then tell you. Kevalam Ishwarartham Tatra Api. Yogasthak, that translation Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has done, Yogasthak Kur Karmani. He says, Yogastan, placing yourself in yoga, which is Karma Yoga, do an action, Kevalam Ishwarartham, only for the purpose of God. This person does only for the purpose of God. He has no other purpose at all. Tatra api, even though he is doing only for the purpose of God, Ishwaro me tushyatu iti sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Oh my God. This person leaves the association. He doesn't even look at this thing also, that is God happy with me also or not. That association also this person doesn't have. My God, what a level. He says, Ishvaro me tushyatu iti sangam tyaktva. Even God is happy or not also. That thought also is not there. The purpose is solely that I am doing it for God. It's God's decision whether He wants to be happy with me or not. But I will not associate myself. Why? If we associate with that also, and sometimes things go other way around, I will always be keep looking, is God happy with me? That thing will keep me engaged. So this person doesn't even look at this, whether God is happy or not. He only closes the eyes and does for the purpose of God. Kevalam Ishwarartham. Tatra api Ishwaro me tushyatu iti sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Then he continues, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Phala trishna shunyena kriyamane karmani sattva shuddhija jnana prapti lakshana siddhihi tad viparyaja asiddhihi tayoho siddhya siddhyo api samatulyo bhutva kuru karmani. Oh my God. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Phala trishna shunyena. Without having, shunyana means with zero. With the desire for fruit being zero. Phala trishna shunyena. With the desire for fruit being zero, or the desire for fruit being eliminated or removed, kriyamane karmani, whatever actions are done by this person, sattva shuddhija jnana prapti lakshana siddhihi, it should what it should do, it should generate sattva within that person, and sattva becomes the cause of jnana prapti lakshana. It becomes the cause of attaining the spiritual knowledge or self knowledge. Karmani sattva shuddhija jnana prapti lakshana siddhi. If one achieves that stage, that he gains sattva shuddhi, with that sattva shuddhi is born the jnana prapti lakshana. Shuddhija means what is born out of. So from this sattva shuddhi is born the ability or the capability to gain the spiritual knowledge. That is siddhi. Okay? Bhagavan says that is siddhi. Remember, the underlying conditions are phala trishna shunyena kriyamane. Once one person does without the desire for fruit of action, or eliminating the desire for fruit of action, that trishna, that desire is given up, and with that given up desire one does the action karmani. Sattva shuddhija jnana prapti lakshana siddhi. It will give sattva shuddhi. From that sattva shuddhi is born the ability to gain the spiritual knowledge. That is siddhi. Tad viparyaja asiddhi. And the opposite of that is siddhi. Right? Means if the sattva shuddhi doesn't come from that action, and it doesn't give you the ability of gaining the self knowledge, that will become asiddhi. Now Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Tayoho siddhya siddhyoho. In this level of siddhi and asiddhi, what he is talking about, Tayoho siddhya siddhyo api. Even at this level of siddhi and asiddhi also, Samaha tulyo bhutva kuru karmani. This he is asking us to do, keeping this level of siddhi and asiddhi also equanimous. One should do action, tulyo bhutva kuru karmani. Bhagavan says one should do an action. Remember, it's what kevalam ishwarartham. The purpose is only for, or the happiness, for the purpose of God. I'm only doing it for God. Kaha asau yogo yatrastha kuru iti uktam idam evatat siddhya siddhyo samattam yoga uchyate. Kaha asau yogo yatrastha. Which is that yoga Bhagavan is talking about? That one should place oneself, and then do the action. Kaha asau yogo yatrastha kuru iti uktam idam evatat siddhya siddhyo. This siddhi and asiddhi, what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is spoken about above, that maintaining equanimity at the level when even after doing the free from desire of the result, whatever action is done, and whether that action gives me sattva shuddhi, and from that sattva shuddhi which is born the jnana prapti lakshana, the ability or the capability to gain the spiritual knowledge, whether it is born or not, even at that level, if somebody is able to maintain samatvam yoga uchyate. That equanimity Bhagavan is calling as yoga. Yoga means karma yoga here. Now, definitely this is the pinnacle what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is speaking about. Not that it is not doable, it is definitely doable. But we need to remember, for one to start with this level is very difficult. That's the reason I said Bhagavan is talking about a very different level of achievement altogether. But yes, goal is definitely this, what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is talking. But when somebody sets out towards Karma Yoga, it may not be possible to reach this level. At that time, what I said before, that keep God in mind, attach yourself to God, our work is for the happiness of God. That is how we have to start with at the level of Karma Yoga. We can't go this way that, I will not even look at Bhagavan is happy or not. Definitely, yes, later stage it will come, it has to be done also. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is perfectly right. That's the reason I said he is talking about a different level altogether. He's taken it a different step altogether. He's taken it a very different higher level itself. I'll give you one example to support this one. The best example I get for this one is, Shabri. In the Ramayana, there is a character called Shabri. It's worth mentioning here in this piece of Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Those of you know, you would know, but for others who don't know, I can tell you here. Shabri used to serve a rishi, and what she used to do, she used to see when the rishi is out to bathe and all, she used to go to the ashram, clean the ashram, set everything up correctly, and then before the rishi comes, she used to run away. She used to do seva, or she used to do the service, but she never used to show who's doing the service. Her seva was not for showing it to the world. Now, one thing I should bring it up here. The thing is, there is a very big difference in this word. I would want you all to take it back and think over it. There is a difference between serving and showing oneself to be serving. They are two different things altogether. They are two different levels altogether. See the example of Shabri. She did all those things, but she never had a desire. She never had a desire that Rishi should be happy with my service, or Rishi should know me, Rishi should give me something. She never had that desire. Now remember one thing, in that story itself, she did it for a long period of time. Every day Rishi used to come that somebody has done and gone, but it's so strange that this person doesn't want anything back from us, not even blessing also. There's not that many things can be given, but this person doesn't even want blessing also. Very strange of that. So this Rishi one day, now this is how things happen, so we should all know this. The Rishi one day, on the pretext of going for bath, he stood there hid himself there to see who is this person who comes and cleans it every day and goes. He's been doing it for a long period of time. Now see what happens there. He saw Shabri coming in. He blessed Shabri that I'm giving you one name. The name I'm giving you, trust me, one day that Nami, that person with that name, or God with that name will come to you. He gave the name of Ram to Shabri. And he said, you be in this ashram after I go, trust me, continue to take this name and continue to serve Lord Ram every day. One day he will come personally and give you a visit. And it happened. That's the blessing which the Rishi gave it to her. So, this is the level of what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is talking about. So, Bhagavad Gita is, through Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan is taking our attention to that point. Remember, all the other action can be action. I'm coming to the next verse, which is the 49th verse. I'm going to touch that because Bhagwan is taking that same example. Bhagwan Shankaracharya in the connection says, Yat punaha samatva buddhi yuktam ishwararadhanartham karma etasmat karmana. With that equanimous mind with equanimity, for the purpose of developing devotion to God, Ishwara artham karma etasmat karmana. Whatever action is done, and in contrary to that, how are other actions? That's what Bhagwan is going to explain in the 49th verse. I will read the verse today and I will take the literal meaning, but we will take the detailed meaning in the next session. Durena hyawaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanamanvichcha kripana phalahetavaha. Durena hyawaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanamanvichcha kripana phalahetavaha. Bhagwan says, here also Bhagwan is addressing Arjuna as Hey Dhananjaya, continuing from the last verse. In this verse, see, in the 47th and 48th verse, Bhagwan has already given what Bhagwan is calling as Karma Yoga. In this verse, Bhagwan is comparing the action done with a Karma Yoga attitude vis-a-vis the other actions. Now remember, the other action can be Satkarma also, Dushkarma also. But Bhagwan here is not talking about Dushkarma. He doesn't have to compare Karma Yoga with Dushkarma at all. Right? It's a very low level thing, so why should we even compare? Dushkarma means evil actions. Bhagwan is not talking about the evil actions at all, or the wrong actions at all. He is drawing a comparison here between a good action, a Satkarma, good action, done with a Karma Yoga attitude, and a good action done without the Karma Yoga attitude. So Bhagwan brings up the example here. Durena hi avaram karma. Karma here means Satkarma. Arjun Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya. In comparison to, when he says here Buddhi Yoga, now, remember two Buddhi he spoke about, two kinds of understanding he spoke about, or when he started these verses. We need to remember that, we don't forget that at all. Sankhya Buddhi and Yoga Buddhi. Right? Now, that Yoga Buddhi itself, Bhagwan is using here as Buddhi Yoga. There is no different Buddhi here. Some people does a mistake here that, the moment they read Buddhi Yoga, they think Bhagwan is talking about Jnana Yoga. No, Bhagwan is not doing that here. You have to understand this correctly here. It's Yoga Buddhi Bhagwan is talking about, Karma Yoga Buddhi. Because remember, the topic which is going is Karma Yoga. So Bhagwan will talk about Karma Yoga only. So whatever he is referring here is about Karma Yoga here. So when he says Buddhi Yogat, in comparison to Karma Yoga Buddhi, in comparison to the knowledge, the action done with the knowledge and understanding of Karma Yoga, with the attitude of Karma Yoga, Durena hi avaram karma. The other good actions. The good actions done with the understanding of Karma Yoga, with an attitude of Karma Yoga, in comparison to that, normal good action, Sat Karma, is Durena hi avaram. It's far, far low. It's very low in front of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is saying. Like I'm giving you one example to explain this particular one. What do you mean by, far low? One example I can give is that, there is a race which is going on. And the winner, the one who came first, in comparison to that, the person who came second is like 7 minutes or 10 minutes behind the first one. What will you call them? Durena hyavaram. He won. Definitely he became second. Not that he didn't become second. But in comparison to the first, he's quite far. His achievement is quite far. In the same way, you need to understand here, Bhagavan is saying, good actions done with the attitude of Karma Yoga, good action done with a knowledge of Karma Yoga in the attitude of Karma Yoga, compared to that, good actions done normally or without the attitude and knowledge of Karma Yoga, they are durena hi avaram. Very low, according to me, and far lower than that. Many times this confusion comes. People say that, what is there in devotion? Why do I need to get devoted to God? I do a lot of, social service and other things. Bhagavan is comparing that only here. You know what happens? When somebody does lot of good actions, the good actions itself become a cause of that ego, of that person. And that ego will definitely make sure that this person has a downfall. He may earn punya, I'm not saying that, but his growth won't happen that way. Bhagavan says, that is why Arjun, Buddhau, when he says Buddhau here, remember you have to attach it again here with Yoga Buddhau. Sharanam Anvicha. That's why Arjun desire. Anu Ichha is the word here. Ichha means desire. Desire that you must desire to work under the grace of this Karma Yoga Buddhi. This knowledge of Karma Yoga, you must desire to work under the knowledge of this Karma Yoga and under this Karma Yoga, because why? Bhagavan says here, Kripana Phalahetavaha. According to me, those people are miser, and I pity them who do action for phala. Phala means fruit, for result. If you do not do the Satkarma or good action with the attitude of Karma Yoga, this desire for fruit will always be there. I'm going to explain you in the next session about this in detail, how this plays into action. But remember, any good action done without the attitude of Karma Yoga will always have the desire for fruit behind it. Good action cannot be done without any direction. That is why Bhagavan says, Arjun, it is very prima facie important for human beings to develop and work towards this Karma Yoga Buddhi, gain this knowledge of Karma Yoga, place oneself in Karma Yoga and achieve this Samatvam and achieve this Yoga in life itself. Other people, I will call them Kripana. Now, before I complete the session today, I want to definitely tie this word Kripana to, the verse in 2.7, what Arjun said, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha Kripana, right? Arjun said this Kripana word over there, that Bhagavan, I am feeling this. So we'll take it up in detail in the next session for you all to now think on these lines. And कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।